All right, we're live.
Hello, welcome to the Punk Rock Libertarians Podcast, episode 489. I'm Otto, and tonight I'm joined with Jared.
What's up, guys?
The non-state hostile intelligence service. Thank you for your service, James.
Great to be back.
And the token minarchist. That'd be Kyle right there. Thanks, Kyle.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks for being our
for having
token.
me. Somebody has to do it.
It's a tough
Somebody's
job.
got to stick up for communism around here.
Right.
I mean, we bash it all the time, but it's really not fair to just
Right.
never let anybody speak up for government.
Right.
Yeah, who's thinking about government?
Oh, man.
Who's got government's best interests in
Dude,
mind?
I
here?
forgot a topic. Did you guys see the UFC guy?
Oh yeah, the guy who said something about reading Mises, right?
Mises. Yeah, he said, if you care about your country, you care about politics, you should read The Six Lessons by Ludwig von Mises. After his win, his face is all battered and beaten, and Joe Rogan's like interviewing him after the match on a Saturday night, and he said he was Brazilian, and he said it changed my worldview on money and politics and everything and economics. And he's like, please read that book. Now, he doesn't realize that it's not called The Six Lessons in the United States. It's called Economic Policy Thoughts for Today and Tomorrow. So if anybody wants to read that book, which I recommend, it's like Human Action is like 1,300 pages or whatever it is. This book is like, it's like 150 pages. It's very digestible, and it's fabulous. And
I mean, if MMA fighters are into it, like you libertarian couch potatoes out there should absorb it.
Well, look at the Communist Manifesto, right? A lot of that's an easy read. You have to have something that's easy to understand. That's not just going to overwhelm people. Like, I'm not reading this book that's thicker than the Bible, but if you give somebody something thin, it's like, hey, check this out. And
that's the beauty of economics in one lesson.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a good
one. Another great freaking book. So, I would put this one right there. Those two would be like my 1 and 2 for like books to recommend to somebody. Maybe Mises's liberalism as well, but I would probably recommend Economic Policy Thoughts above that. It just has a terrible title. Like, why couldn't they name it The Six Lessons like it is in South America, which is so much better? It's like, oh, only 6 lessons. This is easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I was like, "There's no way." I thought maybe it was like AI, like people like change the video to get him to say it.
Oh, he said to watch the Punk Rock
like
Libertarians
MMA
podcast.
Yeah, we should do. Why don't we do that? We should make a video of that. If only I wasn't such a boomer when it came to these things.
How come MMA fighters are the ones that seem to be the most like educated now? Like, is this a statement about academia or about like how cool MMA fighters are?
James, it's South America. It's South America. Look at Argentina. They elected Javier Milei, like an ANCAP. There's like pictures of him dressed up as like ANCAP man or some shit. Like, it's nuts.
The ANCAP Zionist.
They are really, it's popular down there. The libertarianism is much more popular, than it is here in South America, and you're starting to see that like reflected in their politics. It's Brazil and Argentina. Of course, they also have their governments are argue. I don't know if I can say they're worse than ours, but they're very corrupt, and they're sick of it. They're sick of the poverty. They're sick of suffering, and so this is like a fresh new thing, and they're excited about it.
Hey,
but how is it that the MMA fighters are the ones that are like bringing the good word to the people?
Like start spreading the news.
Hey, wasn't Jesus a carpenter? I mean.
Right.
The WWE guys,
allegedly,
Kane, right? Glenn Jacobs, mayor.
Oh yeah. There must be something about physical violent sports like that are, or like remember the one dude, the NFL guy, Russell Okung or whatever. Remember that guy?
Who?
Russell what's his name?
Oh, like Russell Okung. Yeah,
Okung. Yeah. Yeah, it's never. It's not going to be like academics. Like, it's not going to be like professors. Like,
no,
going on CNN. Like, read the 6 lessons.
No. It's awesome though. It's so awesome. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me, man. I watched that clip and I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
Hopefully somebody reads the book.
They did. I saw some of the people that were working with the Mises Institute saying that book like completely sold out, and they had like 25,000 downloads of the PDF.
Wow.
Like the Portuguese
afterwards.
the Portuguese version, or
yeah. Well, yeah, just in general of it.
Oh,
I got like
cool.
10 copies on my bookshelf over here because when I was, really into it, I was going to give them away. I was going to a lot of political events, and I was like, man, if
Back
there's
in the
one
balloon
book,
days.
one book I could give away, if there's one book I could give away, it would be this one. So I bought like a whole bunch of extra copies to hand out. I was going to campaign for liberty meetings every month. There was a lot of people
I had never
there.
even heard of this book.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's awesome.
I've heard of it. Yeah.
I mean, I've read like some of Human Action, and I've just read a bunch of his articles and shit, obviously. But
I've seen
this
all the
one
relevant
I hadn't.
memes,
Yeah,
and infographics.
I've read more
Rothbard.
Rothbard. I've read more Rothbard than I have Mises, probably.
Oh, you're missing out. As I like to say, Mises is way better. Way better.
Did you read this by Rothbard? Nations by Consent.
Well, I read
90s Rothbard.
I mean, Man, Economy, State is basically, at least the beginning of it, is just Human Action, just written less, like more graspable. But then obviously he comes up with his own ideas, some of which are crazy. Unleash the Police, all this kind of stuff. But
Rothbard went on a lot of that was very out of uncharacteristic, right? He has this kind of
I don't know. Who knows? Who cares?
Otto, what's going on with you? You're like
Otto just doesn't give a fuck anymore.
He's like, I don't know, I don't care. You're like,
I think
this is great
not
podcast.
Checked out,
Potter.
but like,
no, I care. I kid. I just who cares? Like everyone wants to debate like, oh my gosh, the 90s. I'm like, who cares? The guy was awesome. He really was onto a lot of shit, and he may have something you don't like here and there. Who cares? Like, he's still better than all the rest.
No, I mean, dude, I like I said, I started reading Human Action. I was like, damn, this is like dense. Obviously, like English, like it's translated. So whenever shit's translated, it's never quite as accessible. And then I started reading Man, Economy, and State, and I was like, oh, this is like the same kind of content, but just well written and written. Not that Mises isn't a good writer, but like it was written for a different audience. I feel like it's like less academic, but still, high-minded. Still requires like thought. It's not like explain it like I'm 5, but I don't know. I just liked reading Man, Economy, and State more. I never finished, but
yeah, they're both hard reads. I mean, to read a political book that's over, hundreds and hundreds of pages, it's hard enough just to get through like a novel that's exciting and interesting. That's that many pages. Let alone these things, economic treaties.
But back then I was just so excited about it. I was like, it was just like brand new ideas. Like I would never sit down and read it now because I'm like, I already know all this shit.
Right.
Even though,
I need to reread economics in one lesson because that stuff in that book, it comes up every day, right? I heard there's a McDonald's that's going to be fully automated. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, I've heard
seen
that.
And
I think Arizona.
Right? They never consider the unseen.
Yeah,
never.
Well, and somebody was like, "Oh, we need to boycott this," and I was like, "Look, like if automation is bad, like what about computers? What about cars? What about tractors that plow fields?
What about
for
shovels?
Us? Like, shovels, yeah, exactly. Like we don't want to say we're not going to use tools because labor-saving devices because we want to preserve jobs that we don't need. It's better off to have people doing stuff that's productive. And then as a society,
and you still hear it now, though. You hear it like, oh, you shouldn't buy that stuff from China where it's cheap. You should buy it here and pay more for it.
These are also the same people that are like, oh, the 40-hour work week is oppressive.
Oh, I know.
The 5-hour work, the 5-day work week is oppressive. It's like, well, if we allow some of that work to be taken up by labor-saving AI or just automation, like,
that's too.
Doesn't that kind of help you guys out? No, but that's our gerbs. It's like,
right.
Dude, none of this makes sense.
We didn't. It's also not on the topic list, but it was tax week, right?
Oh yes.
And
if you those that presumably have been victimized,
I mean, you have to work like 2 of the 5 days of the week just to pay taxes.
Yeah.
If you take the federal rate plus the state rate, you know, a lot of people, if you make like kind of a middle ground income, it's 2 days of work to pay the taxes for that week, or maybe like a day and a half. I mean, it's a heavy bite that they take. So
Yeah.
Well, on our after hours and Fed level, we can discuss certain tax strategies
Sure.
to help minimize your contribution to the state. But we're certainly not going to do that on the open channels.
No, you got to pay for that. You know, you got to pay for that.
Yeah.
I think my favorite Mises lesson is about private property. It says I'll probably butcher it, but without private property, it's a justification to have private property. To say without private property, you can't have exchange, and without exchange, you can't have prices, and without prices, you can't allocate resources correctly, and resulting in human suffering. You know, so I mean, it's really I'm kind of mangling it, but it's a
that's not
perfect
bad. That
progression
wasn't
of
bad.
logic.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Kinda.
that really wasn't a bad interpretation. I think he was talking about capital goods, you know, specifically with that quote, talking about. But you know, I don't know that the communists even oppose personal property. They don't want to take your toothbrush. That's what they say, you know, or like your television. Like
They don't
you
wanna
can have
redistribute it?
personal property, but it's
But you might have to
dude-
share your laptop and your girlfriend. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know where they draw that
Personal
line.
property is what
for the
we say
community.
personal property is.
Right.
At some point,
right,
they
well, no,
go.
there's a clear differentiation between personal property and private property, right? Private property is what you have and they want. Personal property is their stuff.
Yeah, I guess
Right.
so. Yeah. I don't know exactly how they figure out what the state needs to expropriate. You know, anything owned by a rich person, I think they want to make public property.
Yeah,
More than what they
they're all
have,
fucking.
then
They're a bunch
then
of
they want it.
wackies. Fuck them.
Ada's just like, dude, he's like over it or something.
I just,
Otto's just been-
who cares? The communists won. We're all just dealing with
They
it,
won.
you know. Like just like every time I hear someone speak from the government, I'm like, the Fabians were so right. The Fabian
What?
socialists.
Oh, you know what's been really funny? Have you guys been following this FISA amendment, renewal, vote,
Yeah.
like all of this kind of stuff?
Yep.
People are really upset about it because they're awarding themselves all kinds of new like legal powers for spying and commandeering networks and forcing compliance, all kinds of shit. Like it's pretty bad. And everyone's like, "Oh, better call our senator." Oh.
I thought they already voted on it. Didn't it pass? It passed the. It didn't
It
pass the
passed the
Senate.
House.
It passed the House barely.
The House
Yeah.
House set it up to, from what I understand, to be exactly 212 to 212 to block an amendment to require warrants.
Warrants.
Like
yeah, they
somehow
don't
you
wanna
need an
require them.
amendment to have a search warrant necessary. But it's clown world. And the funny thing is, like, I mean, imagine if we all call our senators and, okay, we did it, guys, we voted. They voted no. You know, like, who really thinks that, like, over at Langley, they're going to be like, oh, no, we got a no vote. Whoa, pull the plug. Stop listening.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, if they say you need a warrant, then they have to shut it down and start getting warrants.
No, they
Nah,
don't.
they'll find
Are
another
you
way to
crazy?
backdoor it.
Yeah, I'm
First of
not
all, it
crazy.
was. My understanding is it was illegal. Then Snowden came out and blew the whistle on it. They had denied it. Snowden came out and blew the whistle on it. Then they're like, yeah, but we're going to retroactively make it legal, and that's how you got this whole FISA bullshit.
That might be.
Maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's why you need to. And then it's been renewed, and
It's a power struggle, right? There's a lot of pushback between the intelligence community who wants to do whatever the heck they want without warrants. They want to be able to spy on anyone, and then the civil liberties people who want to restrain government. You know, so it's not only a battle
those
for
people
votes.
are out of it. The people that want to restrain are not present or have any ability to do so. The Congress was set up to be a perfect defeat of the amendment, like 212 to 212, and the Speaker of the House, who normally doesn't vote, like voted to make sure that warrants weren't going to be happening. Okay,
I heard that
after previously like condemning FISA courts, like he flips. Suddenly he flips, and Congress is all set up. Just enough people got to vote against it to give them a little cover back home, but they got exactly the result they wanted. They pressed on all the right people, and the Congress is powerless to resist the national security state. There's no way they're going to stop them. And this is just for just the courtesy. Like, first of all, the FISA court itself, didn't they like approve 99% of all requests anyway? And it was just like a technical form that the people had to fill out. Now they don't even, they're like, they can't even be bothered with a technicality.
It shouldn't be that easy. I mean, they should have to present what their evidence is for why they want the warrant, in the first place, to a judge and say, hey, we have something on this guy. Yeah.
Cops can force suspect to unlock phone with thumbprint, U.S. court rules. The ruling says,
do not set up fingerprint on your phone. Dude, that's I mean, not just cops, but anybody. Oh, I hear you got Bitcoin. Better unlock that.
Well, don't keep Bitcoin on your phone, for one.
What do you guys do?
It doesn't mean somebody won't like try to like beat it out of you or try to,
they just have to hold my phone up to my face. Like, I have the face unlocked.
You don't do that facial recognition, do you?
Well, that's what all the iPhones have now, is the facial recognition shit.
You don't have to use it though.
No, you could do the code and all that.
Yeah. I had to do the face, so they would just have to hold up my phone to my face and unlock it.
There's only one way to defend against this. It's basically to have like a fake password or something, or like a fake if you do the facial recognition, with a certain with one eye open, it triggers a self-destruct.
Yeah. No. Yeah. What you need is I was actually talking about this earlier, but. Yeah, you have two sets of codes. One code unlocks your phone. That's what you use. And then the other one is the one you give the cops. When they type that in, it just completely resets your phone.
Or it triggers like an EMP blast that just
or just explodes.
A frag turns into an incendiary grenade.
Yeah.
Well, Snowden, speaking of Snowden, he had a cool tweet from today. I can't find it anymore, but he says, cool. So this week, the Senate is voting to let the NSA take over the internet and authorize warrantless surveillance of Americans. And the House is voting to take another $100 billion from you, $1/10 of a trillion, to squander on fruitless foreign wars. Very cool.
But the funny thing is to see people like scrambling to get on the phone and call their senators, like somehow they're going to have an impact. Like senators are like, they just got threatened by the CIA to have their kids murdered, like if they don't vote the right way. And you're going to call up and ask them to defend freedom of information or freedom of speech. I mean,
yeah, I think if they get overwhelmingly called to vote a certain way, that they do take that into account. So we have different impressions of what pressures these people respond to. I think they do respond to
sexual blackmail, number one.
Yeah.
Right.
No. Listen. We did that for Defend the Guard in Maryland. We had
piles of money. Number two.
We had people from all over calling one politician. She was the one vote that was holding it up. We started calling her donors, her top donors. Then we started calling everyone pressure. She got hundreds of phone calls, and she still said no. She was the one person that was stopping Defend the Guard from passing in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do they have to do? Just not pick up the phone?
Right. They don't care.
Or just have their secretary pick it up.
They don't decide. It's unconstitutional. Like what? Like they don't
even
care.
At the state. So, and that's at the state level, right? So that was that a state senator?
Yes.
They think they're little, they think they're like little royalty, like even at the state level.
Yeah, it's sad. I've given up calling people. Like it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. And I'm not saying
people should be concerned, but you know what you need to, what we need to do, and I'm speaking to myself specifically, is to double down on technological privacy devices, VPNs, Proton Mail, de-googling your phone. It's a bitch, but what else, or call your senator. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. I still believe in the purpose
Start
of the
digging
original
a temporary
LP.
shelter or call your
I
senator.
switched to DuckDuckGo. I don't know if they're any better, but
Probably not at this point.
I just didn't like how Google, I would search something and then I'd get ads for it in my Facebook, 5 minutes later. And I'm like, you guys are like tied together and passing data back.
Well,
and
that's
forth.
something the browsers are going to start blocking, allegedly, is this cross-site cookie sharing.
Yeah.
So that's how that shit works, is like you go on Facebook, they put a cookie on your system, and then it continues to be read from like site to site. So they're allegedly blocking that shit in the major browsers, but
we'll see.
We'll see.
I mean,
it's probably why my browser takes all my computer memory just to run, because it's constantly broadcasting everything I've done on the internet for the past 20 years. Right? Yeah. Imagine that like the pile of cookies that just accumulates. Oh, he's interested in trucks. He's interested in anarchy. He's interested in 3D printing weapons. He hates, he's
that's just stored on their servers now.
Yeah.
Them cookies are long gone.
They all have a profile.
That's at the NSA at this point.
I mean, there's a profile on all of us.
Joe's a new fan.
Oh,
really appreciate all the new fans, first time listeners. He said it sounds like a perfect time to plug Brave browser.
Brave's
browser. Good. That's what I'm using right now, actually, to broadcast this.
But do you ever feel like just overwhelmed, where you feel like to really gain any kind of privacy is just impossible? It's just
you just got to log off and go touch grass.
We're using GPS and Facebook and it's just like to really separate yourself from that. You become a hermit in the woods. Yep. And so there has to be some level in the middle that's doable for regular people, but still some basic protections.
Well, they always talked about the chip. They're going to microchip us. And then we got smartphones, and now we carry a computer around in our pocket with GPS. You know what I mean?
Yeah, not just the GPS, but the cameras and microphones and motion sensors and gyroscopes. And radios and
your phone probably knows you better than you know yourself. It's like I know this guy likes big butts. Like I'm gonna, they know exactly what you like.
No, I like big butts. I'm not looking up. It's like no, it doesn't, because it recommends me like tranny porn. I'm like, hey, I wasn't gonna watch that.
Hey, I was just curious one day.
Why does this thing think I like?
It was part of a research project I was doing.
Sure.
Like
researching, am I gay? The answer is yes. No, I just kidding. But yeah, man, it's just I don't know. I don't feel hopeless about it. It's just like the government literally created the internet. I don't think everything you guys do there's not just some nerd that's at the NSA. It's just like that's funny, guys. I see you, and like that's just how I feel. Like they can rewind the internet. They have all the power and control.
Well, you know what? It's still an arms race, and like every once in a while things come around that that give me some hope, where there's I haven't really seen anything pan out, but there was like hope of like a decentralized DNS alternative, or like different way, or different decentralized file sharing, things like that. So like using HPFS.
Yeah, that's the that's like the decentralized storage thing.
Intergalactic file sharing protocol, IPFS.
Yeah, IPFS. Yeah. I was looking into that actually like a year ago for setting up podcast hosting, but
guys,
it's just not fast enough. What?
The FBI says Chinese hackers are preparing to attack U.S. infrastructure. Why do I feel like I always see this?
Wait, what? Aren't they just?
And they're going to do it with Bitcoin.
What I think is great though is all right. So what happened? We got to talk about everyone's saying, "Oh my gosh, World War III starting." And I kind of had to think, I was like, "Nah, it's not. It's really not,
dude. It's already started."
I'm like, well, because
it's been going on since the Cold War.
You don't know you're in. They didn't say okay, we started World War I today, or we started World War II today. They kind of figured it out after the fact. They're like, holy shit.
You're like, all right, D-Day, I guess.
They started with like one conflict, and then other countries joined the conflict, right?
Yeah.
Right, and then people say, "Well, I guess it kind of started when Archduke Ferdinand, or I guess it kind of started when, like when,
Leopold.
When the Iranians attacked Israel, they say, or when, right, or when Putin attacked Ukraine, right, or who knows what they'll say."
It would be the Hamas attack on Israel, right? And that there's two conflicts really going on, right? There's the Russian
Kyle, the
Ukraine.
sarcasm has gone straight over your head, buddy.
Okay, sorry. I was just focused on a technicality, I guess. Yeah, the Iranian attack seems to be an escalation.
Called autism.
It's called being autistic. Not being able to handle social cues.
I'm sorry, Kyle. You don't deserve that. You don't deserve that. Here's the thing I want to make for the record. See, Alex isn't here tonight, and I'm not taking this opportunity to call him gay and all these other things and fat and a loser like other certain hosts do.
Well,
how would you know we did that to you when you weren't here?
Excuse me?
Here.
What?
What makes you think we would ever say anything like that on the show when you're not?
I got
here?
A message from Jared laughing like, "Holy shit, you got ripped apart in the first minute there, Otto." Thanks, Kate.
I did. I ratted Kate out.
Yeah.
But also it's recorded and
I was gonna listen because I figured it was coming, but I just didn't think it would be from her. But
it was pretty funny though.
She's savage.
I know.
I gotta listen to that. I didn't hear that.
Yeah.
First minute.
Yeah, 2 weeks
ago.
The
intro. I think she actually took over the intro.
Fucking Kate.
That's how sorry this podcast is. We have our guest do the intro now.
But Kyle, I told her
willing to just obey though. She were like, just go ahead and take control. No problem.
She was like, "You hate me now," and I'm like, and I said, "No, I don't hate you." I said, "I'll just take glee when your your new digital currency gets linked to your social credit score, and then you have to answer why you fat shamed me on the internet." Like, so when that happens eventually in the next few months, it'll all be fine. But so Alex is out here, as you guys can tell. I know I miss him, but I'm not gonna take this time to trash him. So I'm better than that.
You're a good man.
I am trying to be. I'm still a sinner, but trying to be better. James' eyebrows in that.
Weeks without an autistic moment on PRL, 0.
Yeah.
Reset the counter.
I haven't lived many of those weeks, my friend Brandon. Those are few and far between around these parts.
You guys want to talk about this NPR editor?
Sure.
Yeah. Holy shit, I forgot about this. This is great. This is some serious here, like my new button. As you can see, 1984.
Nice.
1984 shit.
National Pentagon Radio. I mean,
yeah.
First of all, some people seem to be shocked that government-funded radio would promote government narratives over the truth. Like, whoa! Like nobody imagined it could happen. They're so busy trying to get like a Sesame Street tote bag, right? or watch some kind of nature show. Like they completely forgot that it's propaganda from the state.
Yeah, this was unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if anybody read the article, any of our listeners, if you read this article, but I mean, he pretty much said what I think most people that are not leftists already knew, which was that NPR is gone pretty far left, and that they're all Democrats. They have no Republicans or independents, and they have fully bought into the progressive agenda or progressive talking points. And he really complained it was really bothering him how stories that they would run would never retract or apologize for being wrong. They would only do stories that would hurt Trump, like the Russiagate story, and then they were intentionally ignoring big stories that would potentially hurt Biden, like the Hunter Biden laptop. And it was bothering him that they were being politically partisan. And also that they would never admit wrongdoing or retract anything that they were saying. And
so this guy did an article a couple weeks ago and it got a lot of traction. I saw it like getting shared over and over and over again. Basically, yeah, saying, like you said, the same thing we all knew. I think like from his perspective, it's like they used to be pro-state, on both sides of the aisle, and now they're only pro-state on one side of the aisle. But so then they fired him after writing that.
No, they suspended him for 5 days.
I'm sure they would like to fire
He
him.
can't post on Twitter for 5 days.
He's suspended without pay. So basically, they don't pay him for 5 days, and he can't. I guess, yeah. Post
they would like to fire him. I'm sure. He's basically calling out his colleagues for being partisan Democrats, which they totally are. So
can you play the video of the NPR CEO, because she really cast some light on the situation too.
Where
did
is
you?
this?
I had posted the link early.
Oh.
I don't know if it's in there.
Let's see. Yeah,
it's called NPR. Yeah, there we go.
The hard things, the places where we are prone to disagreement, say politics and religion. Well, as it turns out, not only does Wikipedia's model work there, it actually works really well. Because in our normal lives, these contentious conversations tend to erupt over disagreement about what the truth actually is.
Oh, that's creepy.
When we write these articles, they're not focused on the truth. They're focused on something else, which is the best of what we can know right now. And after 7 years of working with these brilliant folks, I've come to believe that they are onto something, that perhaps for our most tricky disagreements, seeking the truth and seeking to convince others of the truth might not be the right place to start.
You want to pause it there?
Our reverence.
Would you say, Bab?
First of all, she's got a good stylist, right? Like for an executive, right? Like she's doing okay, don't you think?
Sure. She ain't bad.
But so what do you think?
Is that why we're stopping the video?
Yeah, I was like, what?
Yeah, she said that starting with the truth might not be the best thing, but I mean, I'm curious what her butt is going to be.
To I don't know, to play a little status advocate, I kind of get what she's saying though. She's saying rather than like proclaim like this is the truth, it's sort of taking the scientific method and saying like this is the best theory that we have now. But I don't think that's what NPR does.
Well, she's starting by comparing it to the Wikipedia model, right? I don't know if you caught that part, but she's saying the Wikipedia model works so great. Yeah, and if you want to know what year Abraham Lincoln was born, it's great, right? Yeah. If you want to learn about, like some particular caterpillar, it's going to be great. But if you want to look up a controversial figure, somebody who's alive today, a political commentator, they're going to be completely smeared. It's completely politicized, completely censored, completely edited, completely controlled by leftist narratives. And this is what she is saying, like, "Ooh, this is the holy grail." She goes on, and why don't we see what else she has to say?
For the truth might be a distraction that's getting in the way of finding common ground and getting things done. Now,
the truth gets in the way.
That is not to say that the truth doesn't exist.
That's not what
Nor is it to say that the truth isn't important. Clearly, the search for the truth has led us to do great things, to learn great things. But
that was in the past.
I think if I were to really ask you to think about this, one of the things that we could all acknowledge is that part of the reason we have such glorious chronicles to the human experience in all forms of culture is because we acknowledge there are many different truths. And so in the spirit of that, I'm certain that the truth exists for you and probably for the person sitting next to you. But this may not be the same truth. This is because the truth of the matter is very often, for many people,
it's nebulous.
What happens when we merge facts about the world with our beliefs about the world. So we all have different truths. They're based on things like where we come from.
Only we had an independent news source that can help us get to the facts of the case.
That's called an opinion.
Instead of worrying about everybody's individual truth, perhaps we'd have reporters that could just give us the facts. Tell us what happened. Shut up.
Yeah, I didn't like what she said, but I'm trying to understand what she said. I mean, obviously
Well, I
perception, right?
misunderstood. I thought she was getting at something else, but then
No.
that kind of barreled off into
Yeah.
some nonsense about. I mean, look, there's definitely subjectivity when it comes to things. I mean,
No, there's not.
This is a news
no such thing
organization.
as
This isn't like a
subjectivity.
poetry journal, like
Right.
discussing what kind of poems to publish. They're supposed to be like an objective news source, at least parading themselves as that, like.
Yeah. No, it's not the
Joe
place
asked,
for-
"Is this woman doing a Kamala impression?"
Yes, she
She's
is.
doing a better
She's like
Kamala.
a more eloquent
She's
Kamala.
far more talented than Kamala.
Whoa, that was borderline racist, Jared.
I didn't say she was more what's the word? What's the word? Articulate.
Articulate.
But put this kind of talk in context with what that editor wrote, his critique, right? And now they're censoring the guy that critiqued them, right? Like they're not on the path yet to being like, yeah, we really did fuck a bunch of shit up. Like they if they want to regain credibility, it's got to start with them being like, holy shit, yeah, this is what we did wrong. Let's start with Hunter Biden laptop. Let's start with Russiagate, and then let's keep going. Let's talk about how we help with weapons of mass destruction. Like the list of bullshit that they've pushed over the generations is long, and maybe it just needs to go away. It just can't be. It just can't be trusted. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just.
I mean,
let it
I
go.
think it's impractical or impossible to expect there to be zero bias in media, but there's bias. It's like if I go to antiwar.com, like I know they're biased against war, right? It's in the fucking name, right? But they're going to report the facts. And they're going to be, they might miss some things. Maybe they're not, giving enough credit to whatever, but at least they're clear about what the bias is. But you have NPR, which people still claim is like center, middle, maybe center left. And clearly they're just, I don't even know if you'd call them, they're just like government propaganda machines. Like it's not even like, oh, clearly these guys are biased. But like at least they're like reporting news. It's like no, they're just spewing.
These are the NPR fans. They're the ones thinking that Trump is trying to censor books in elementary schools. They're really concerned about book banning.
There's bias, and then there's just making up shit, right? It's like,
yeah, I have a
or
friend
just
that
pushing conspiracy theories, and then calling things that are fact conspiracy theories.
I have a friend that was lobbying for the FISA bill to pass. He works for an organization
Wait,
that's
what?
like involved with the drug.
Of course, you have a friend.
Drug trafficking, and so it's related to his work. He's there basically for work, but their organization is all about spying on drug dealers, right? That's what they do, and so they want this to pass. They're trying to support the law enforcement team officers, and so that they can spy more easily on drug traffickers. And that was his sole purpose. He really wasn't concerned about, he had no qualms with the privacy violations and everything. And it just shows you kind of like how our personal experience like shapes how we think. I mean, I think
if you're like
a
slave overseer, then you think like this is great.
Well, that's his bias. Like first of all, he's probably never even considered that the war on drugs is a waste of time. No, I didn't.
Alex asked, "Did you have him over for coffee?"
No. I mean, he was telling us about it, and I was like, okay. I didn't know the background at that time that this was. I didn't know what he did for a living. I had to look it up afterwards and figure out what his job was and why he was doing this. And that gave me better understanding. I mean, I guess I could have just asked him, but at the time I was like, I don't want to start arguing about this right now. And maybe I need to be more confrontational. I don't know.
Like, what the hell are you doing? Leave those drug
Yeah,
dealers
no, I
alone.
didn't say that.
Jerk.
I didn't say. Yeah, I was thinking.
Yeah, why
that.
didn't you stand up for the
He
drug
should be
dealers, Kyle?
shamed. Like,
Well, the risk isn't.
Someone's
I
got to
mean,
stand up for them.
It's just like how big of a can of worms do you open? Do you go let's look at alcohol prohibition. Let's look at what a waste of time the war on drugs is. Let's look at how much money you guys are wasting pursuing drugs when, and the war on drugs has been going on for like 50 years and you haven't stopped the drugs. So you're just a constant waste of money. Your job shouldn't even exist.
Nobody involved in the war on drugs thinks they're doing anything but just cashing a check.
No, that you're wrong. They think
I think
they're actually helping.
There are zealots out there.
Yeah.
They think they're helping the community, keeping the bad hard drugs out of the
Every
community.
time they find a black person or a deadhead on the highway, like this is what they trained for. They go home and they're going to tell their kids about the roach they found in that Chevy pickup truck ashtray.
They think they're doing good. They really do think they're do-gooders, but the point is
would any middle management
Nazis.
plantation like worker, right?
We all have our perspective, and his perspective is just based on what he does is different than my perspective, I guess. I think he's wrong. I can argue my case pretty well, but he's getting paid to be there to try to get congressmen to vote the right way or his way.
Right. He's not going to have an understanding when his job depends on him not understanding.
Yes. That's right. He's got financial stake in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people
And also
do.
don't talk to cops.
Yeah, Kyle.
Don't offer him cookies.
How do you know he wasn't like surveilling you at that time?
Yeah. His phone was already doing the work.
I mean, I
He
don't
put
do
a
any
surveillance
drugs, so,
device in the dip.
I'm sure the intelligence community is interested in more than the drugs, right? They want to continue to surveil for terrorist reasons or whatever. It can so easily be abused once they have that
Political
power to do whatever they
opponents.
want. Political reasons or whatever. So
Libertarian Party.
Yeah. Yeah, they're coming for us. It's fine.
it's fine.
Well, you know what?
Is it going to jump off at the Maryland? Is it going to jump off at the Maryland convention? Are we going to get raided by feds?
Let's hope. That'd be so awesome.
Who's the speaker?
As long as they buy tickets, right? That's all you can really hope for. Like if you
Yeah.
want to infiltrate, you just have to pay.
Kyle, this
like,
weekend you should come on out. It's right in Stevensville, right off the Bay Bridge.
I
Come on
can't.
out.
I have to watch my daughter this weekend, but
We're
thank
doing
you.
a live show, dude.
You don't want to bring her with a bunch of libertarian autists?
She's
Oh, it's
she's
gonna
only
be
10
fun.
months.
You don't want to
old.
bring her to a brewery?
She's a
with
little
bunch of
baby.
Degenerate.
She's only 10
libertarians?
months old.
Can't believe she's 10 months.
You could just leave her. She'll be pretty much where you put her when you come
Apparently,
back.
that's a new trend. People just leave their babies at home and go on like vacations, and their baby just dies. Or
Dude, that was the
Yes.
worst
one
story
of those like
in the
gerbil
world.
water things.
Wait,
That
what?
was the worst. It was the worst story I think I've ever heard. This
Right.
woman in Ohio left her toddler, 18-month-old baby in a playpen for 10 days while she went on vacation to Puerto Rico, and the baby died of dehydration, starvation. In the same diaper, crying. It just.
What
I
did
don't
she
know.
think was going to happen?
Yeah, what did she leave food
She
for him
said
or
she
something?
said the world doesn't know what I was going through, or whatever. She was going through some
I
emotional
was on a
distress,
cruise
and she needed
I
a
wasn't going to be
vacation.
bothered.
right?
Dude, I have
Jesus
never been
Christ.
so infuriated,
I know.
especially having a new
Yup.
baby girl, and just
Kyle
imagining
gets it.
that poor baby went through.
Yeah.
She was
Where's
sentenced to
Dad?
life in prison. I don't know. I don't know why no one realized it was happening, but I walk around my neighborhood and I look at houses and I'm like, I haven't seen those people like ever. So we
Dude,
go
I don't
in our
even want to leave.
houses.
I don't even want to leave my dog downstairs by himself for more than like a few hours.
You just don't know what goes
Like a
on
fucking
behind closed doors. You
human
know?
You just
child.
don't know what she was going through. You just don't know.
That freaking, I mean, what a monster.
Right. It was an all-you-can-eat buffet, and
It was a carnival cruise.
Not
took
for the
her full
baby,
attention
apparently.
for 10 days.
100.
There's
Yeah.
There's
Jesus.
video of the child like crying for its mom, and I mean,
There's
it's just-
video.
She had a
Where's the
video set up.
That's what I heard. I heard there's a baby monitor video or clips or whatever. I don't know how that's
Holy
possible.
shit,
Ours
that's
doesn't
awful.
record.
Oh,
I heard there's video. I would not watch that video.
I know one mom.
She could have at least couldn't she have called like Uber Eats every other day and just like had some formula sent over or some?
Oh, they'd call
jug of
CPS.
water?
They'd be like, "Holy shit, this is like
there
a
was
disaster."
another case where this one just happened after that, where another mom got convicted. She went on a cruise by herself and left her 6 and 8-year-old home, and they were like pissed themselves, and they were suffering from dehydration and everything. And she was watching them over the baby monitor, and she could chime in and talk to them, and she still did it.
That's nuts.
Like
she in jail?
parenting.
Yeah, she's going to jail. Shocking.
It's not very libertarian.
I'm making an exception for that.
There's always enough stories like this to fund every like statist like excuse for like why we have to have checking up on kids, or why
CPS,
the teacher has to be able to have secret like meetings, or
I like to
Secret
say
surgeries.
we need special rules for children and animals, because they can't fend for themselves. So
I just don't think you need rules. I just think you need consequences for people who violate children's rights.
Well, then you have to define those consequences, and you have to define what triggers those consequences.
My gun will.
I think it's pretty well defined when your baby dies of dehydration that you are criminally negligent at best.
Yeah, I don't
let the jury figure it out at that point.
Yeah,
that's
a rule.
Private
court.
Kyle.
Okay.
I mean, other people would say, well, we better have mandatory welfare
Conversation
checks, and we should have an agent of the state come in every, few days and check up on, everybody, and maybe get permission to even have babies. And in fact, in California, they're like, oh, wait a minute, we don't think you're a good candidate for being a mother. Here's forced sterilization. It's like you go down that road, and it's next thing you know, you're a eugenicist.
That's like what
or government school.
I like a complaint. I like a complaint-based system, right? Someone
0
complains,
weeks since
someone complains that somebody's doing something wrong, and then they check it out. I don't like the idea of having to do welfare checks on everybody all the time. That seems excessive. But
what about red flag checks?
Yeah, something like that.
There's a fine line about being against child abuse and then being a eugenicist. Apparently, James just found that line.
Well, he said it. I was like, yeah, there's a lot of people that probably shouldn't have kids, and
yeah, but the problem is people in power think that they should to replace people like you, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of people that can't afford
people
their
that
kids,
think they're smart enough to know.
The government will take care of it.
I mean, that's the problem. The problem is
to tell others who to have kids and who not to are the ones that are like the child traffickers and the and the abusers and some of the sickest, nastiest effers like in our society.
School teachers.
Yep. Oh yeah, there's a school teacher that got suspended with pay for like apparently sexually assaulting like a 13-year-old girl. And the girl had to come back to the same classroom with like the teacher's picture is there, even though he's gone. And they found out like the mother's the husband of the guy, the wife of the guy is actually an assistant principal at the school. I'm like, what the fuck?
Why is this person not in jail?
I don't know. And this is local too. This is like right in Anne Arundel County or something like that.
Do they press charges?
Yes, the parents are. Or the parents are filing or trying to file charges for it, but they just suspended the teacher. That's it.
I mean, well, think about it. You create this like honeypot of no accountability and a whole bunch of kids and a culture where you can pretty much get away with anything. And gee, surprise, it attracts some of the worst scumbags.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything with kids attracts pedophiles.
Right.
Yeah, coaching and teaching.
Yep. Coaching, teaching.
And especially, but you add the element of unaccountability and basically hours and hours and hours unattended with these kids.
Mindless authority figures.
Church.
What did you say? Perch?
Church.
Oh, church. Well, actually, that happens at way higher rates in government schools and in like after like like after school programs. It happens at way higher rates than it does in the Catholic Church. Catholic Church just takes the heat for that. I mean, they have
the
their
Catholic Church was
that
like
would trigger-
actively
I knew
trying
that
to
would trigger
cover it
Adam.
up.
Yeah, they have a more like global program of like just
Yeah.
kind of shuffling people around.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like the way cops do. Right?
Yeah, but that
Kinda like
also happens in government schools. Like that happens at way higher rates in government schools, and like people want to sit
Yeah,
there
it's
and be like,
probably
"Oh,
true.
it's the church, it's the easy target,
Well,
the church."
can we just criticize both?
Yeah, we can. We absolutely can.
Like, why is
So-
it? Oh, you're less of a child trafficker. Like, you're
saying,
cool.
hey, it happens at way less rates, and people want to sit there and say, like you see how many ads do you see coming up? We need to abolish government schools because there's too many sexual predators there. But you see that all the time with churches.
Yeah, the
Any of these
church-
groups
you do.
like mutilating the genitals of babies?
That's Jared's people.
the church really they didn't do themselves any favors by
course they
taking
did.
the wrong approach, right? Instead
Yeah.
of saying we need to purge this from our operation,
Yeah.
there was cover-ups,
Uh-huh.
you know,
Oh, absolutely.
and they protected some of these people, and that actually in the end has made it worse for them. The publicity is worse for them and everything else. So,
Yep.
um,
Completely agree. But anyway,
How about
pedophiles.
just stop fucking with kids?
Not a good time.
Stop murdering them and
Just stay
stop.
away from the kids. Jesus
stay away.
Christ. It's that easy.
Yeah. Don't leave your kids at home alone.
But I think it kind of is baked into the power structure. I mean, definitely with government and probably any powerful institution, whether it's media, rap culture, or that sexual blackmail like favors these kind of deviants, right? Because they're the ones that can be trusted with power because you have stuff on them. Right. So once you can create a power network this way of loyal, obedient organization because you got something on it. Like they don't have anything on Ron Paul. Right. So they can't stand Ron Paul because he never, he never went to Epstein's Island, but
Right,
if you can
right.
be controlled, hey, let's get you in here. Like, oh, you're weird. Okay. We can work with that.
I heard they're blackmailing like little girls, not like teenage girls, with like AI generated nudes. So it used to be they would get, if they could get a hold of some nudes of a high school girl, then they would threaten her with releasing those unless she did
Who's
whatever.
they?
I think in this case it was maybe high school boys, or
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Or I don't know how they
Yeah, I
do
heard
it.
about that. Yeah.
I just saw an article about it and I was like, oh, that's creepy. Great. I mean, what are you supposed to
So
do?
they're,
An AI generated
blackmail,
image?
like we're going to release an AI nude version of you unless you do
But
something.
try to pass it off
Yeah.
as real.
Yeah, I'd be like,
Yeah.
well, what do you? It's not me. I guess you got to do what you got to do. But maybe a high school girl doesn't know how to handle that, or doesn't know how to
Right.
respond to that.
It's
I would
unfortunate.
monetize it immediately.
What?
That's illegal.
Wait a minute. What the fuck?
If you were a teenage girl,
It's like, what
I'm
just
just
happened
saying-
here?
No, what would you do if you're the girl who's like somebody's like releasing nude AI versions of you, right? You might as well just start profiting from it.
But
I'm not sure how,
She's a
but
teenage girl. It's not gonna work.
if she's like over 18, then yes, agreed.
like the
Right, of
South Park
course,
thing,
of course.
question mark, and then that turns into money
Son of a bitch.
somehow.
Oh, AI generated nudes. Never thought of something I ended up talking about. We've been doing the podcast. You've been doing it, Jared, for like 9 years now.
Hmm.
I've been doing it for like
All right, it's time for me to quit. Time for me to
7.
retire.
I'm not. I don't know anything about AI. I'm not into it. I'm an
fun.
old man.
Sometimes
I'm an
it's
old
funny.
man. I'm not getting into this new technology.
We haven't visited Mike Termott's AI on his website recently.
That thing's gone completely haywire.
Lisa, yeah. Or was it Lisa? Lisa, right?
Yeah, Lisa.
Yeah, we ask it all sorts of fun questions.
Did we break it?
We might have. We brought
I
up.
think when we asked it, like, when should you shoot a cop? I think that was its first
Yeah.
test.
Then it was like, oh, vote for me on December, blah blah blah. It's like,
How
wait,
is that
what?
any different than like Alexa or Siri or
a
whatever?
libertarian version.
Just more retarded.
Oh,
a little bit more aspy,
I mean, when that
Yeah.
stuff came out like 10 years ago, people were like, "Oh, let's ask this goofy question."
Ask Jeeves, remember?
Yeah,
That was the first AI.
But let's face it, like Siri is terrible, right? Like for all the hype that like Siri's gotten over the years, like it's just still terrible.
It's bad.
I don't
Google
use it.
Assistant is bad too. ChatGPT is actually useful though. I use it a lot.
When are we going to
for work.
have like an interface where I can just be like, "Hey, phone, like, like find me a gas station that's more than 5 miles off route and is, one of the lower priced ones." Like something like, isn't this where we, like, couldn't that be reality?
It's a good idea.
I think
Is
it's
that just a
close.
website, Jared? ChatGPT? I just go to a website?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a website. It's also an API, so you can hook other software applications up to it.
I'm not doing that. Just
Well, I know you're not doing that.
What-
I'm just
I
saying
just
there's a
wanna
lot
mess
of different.
around.
There's a lot of things that are being advertised as like, AI for this, AI for that, and they're all using ChatGPT under the hood.
It's like when they used to use the word blockchain to get a
Right.
stock bump.
And it's all just like Ethereum or just nothing.
You guys want to hear something? You want to hear something interesting?
Just the marketing verbiage.
Yeah, just
Yes.
text.
You guys want to hear something interesting?
Mhm.
Yes.
The X account, Middle East Observer, they got like, they're followed by everyone follows, and they've been around since 2010. They just said that so far there have been confirmed explosions going on in cities in Syria and Iraq, and apparently there's unconfirmed explosions going off in Iran, and Iran and Zuwaidia in Syria. Just 4 minutes ago.
All right.
That's fun.
Cool.
So maybe that's the World War III.
I
Like
kind of
everyone's like, "Oh my
it's
gosh!"
already, it's happening. It's happening.
Well, it's not. We don't know that for sure yet. We've become such
I
a
mean,
like.
how long has
meme-
Iran been on the list of countries to overthrow? Remember Project for a New American Century? Iraq, Libya, Syria, right? Iran. These are all countries that were listed for taking out. And surprisingly, Afghanistan, they've all gone down. And like they just cannot stop talking about war with Iran. I mean, remember Hillary Clinton laughing about it. McCain singing a song about bombing Iran. I mean, these people are the sickest, warmongers imaginable.
They have wanted to
This
go
is on
after-
antiwar.com. Speaker Johnson unveils $95 billion foreign military aid bills.
That's what
60
that's what Snowden was talking about.
$61 billion for Ukraine, $26 billion to Israel, and $8 billion for Taiwan. I hope you all just paid your taxes.
I think it's great. I think they should just give it. I think they should
anything to fix this. Like I just
they should do 10 times that. They should do 10 times that, and they should make their spying bill even 10 times worse too. Like, just who cares, right? Like, just
where I'm at, man. Like, who cares? Like, the game's over. Like, I'm just gonna sit here and say you're all fucking pieces of shit and pedophiles and the worst of us, and your system is flawed and will eventually fail you. But it's like, let's just hope you don't kill everyone before.
we just have to survive them at this point.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
Otto is so nihilistic. Like, or
Not nihilistic. It's just
what is
recently,
going on with you? You've
I
been
think he's
like
being
this since the-
realistic,
since
dude.
the show started. He's just like, it's over, it's done.
Well, I've been trying
the
to
hell
get
with it all.
I've been trying to get him, Babs and I have been trying to get him and Alex to just give up the ghost of political action.
Now the LP.
And I think we're finally winning.
The LP's fun. I will say the LP is good. It's good if it exists in its original form, just to be an asshole and just be out there just promoting liberty and just reducing the size of government and just run. I'm gonna run for what is that called?
Congress,
No,
State?
county. What is it?
county council.
No, not county. Damn it. What is it? The Board of Education. There we go. That's it. And I'll run for Board of Education. And my website's just going to take you to a link that just says abolish government schools, and just tells you why they're unconstitutional. And if you elect me, then that's all I'll do. And
I like the LP as just a place for libertarians to meet up and then just do base shit.
Right. Like that's
But like calling
essentially
your
it.
senator and like going to like the fucking courthouse, like that shit is a waste of time.
I don't know. I had a friend that was in the involved in the campaign for liberty, and he was like a big strategy guy, and he definitely was a Republican Party takeover. That's the right strategy for this movement to go.
Look how that panned out.
No, I mean it failed, but that doesn't mean it's not the right strategy long term.
He took over the LP
it's
and
hilarious.
It failed,
people
but it
would
might
do
be the
that,
right strategy.
especially with what we learned during Ron Paul when they got to convention, blocked Ron Paul delegates, pre-scripted the whole convention, denied the supporters a chance to nominate Ron, changed the rules, rigged it, as if taking over the party would have helped, right?
Well,
like,
I mean, he
the-
did lose.
all those delegates seated were irrelevant, and they were a prop to justify what had already been scripted. So if you want to take over the RNC and your local thing, you could be that prop too, and you could get some kind of an elephant hat and a red, white, and blue jacket, right? And you could get out there and whoop it up, and they don't give a fuck.
Well, first of all, I mean, he had tried to insert delegates through other candidates and things like that. Like Romney had way more votes than Ron Paul did, and I just think that a lot of libertarians like yourself took the wrong lesson from that, which was like, okay, we can't get anywhere this way. Let's just go cry at home. And instead, they should have been like, well, we need to double down and we need to come back harder next year or next election. We need to get more people. Eventually you overwhelm with numbers. Instead, we were like, okay, well, we're just losers. We can't ever win this way. But that doesn't mean you just quit. Like, you have to try it harder, go with more people.
You gotta vote harder next time.
You can't don't play the game until you understand what it's about. And I think the Ron Paul campaign was a great opportunity to learn what it's all about. And it's not about who's popular, right? Ron Paul won every single poll out there. On the internet. It wasn't a popularity contest. It was we elevate these voices, we shut down those voices, and the same people are running both parties, both donor classes. All the donors are the same at the higher levels. You don't get a say, but what you do get is to be the prop. And you get to be the one that says what they can point to and say, see, it's democracy. See, it's not just us, like forcing our will. It sanctifies what they have planned. And it's just kind of embarrassing to see.
Well, I mean, it was a good strategy in terms of like getting on a podium, getting the recognition, getting on like mainstream television. I mean, I don't think he would have garnered that big of a following if he had stayed with the LP. I mean, he had been with the LP since the 80s, and nobody knew who the fuck he was until
I don't think he never had any crazy idea of thinking that he was going to win the presidency.
No,
because Ron always just used his position, as a on the pulpit.
Yeah,
I thought
I'm just not sure I'm just not sure you can replicate that.
Well, we don't.
I'm not sure you could get another Ron Paul to like get up in there, and even winning, losing aside, I just don't know if they would even allow it to get that far.
You know what I mean?
Who?
Yeah.
Like Malay, Malay, might be somebody that you could point to and say, like, following the Ron Paul path. And
I mean in like the United States.
Yeah, we don't have a leader right now as a movement, or a front person.
That one Indian guy was like somewhat based. I mean, he was. I don't want to say he was Ron Paul. Yeah, he was. He had some good anti-war economic stuff, but
he would be the smartest central planner to rule over us of that batch. Like, he's smart. Like,
yeah,
but he also has all kinds of ideas about how to centrally plan relationships with China and this and that.
Yeah, certainly not defending him, but
smart people can be really dangerous because they think they're smart enough to direct human events.
But you know what smart people do, though? They sign up for our Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You guys can be smart too. Yeah, you could be a smart person too and sign up for as little as $3 a month. You know what I mean? Maybe even more. So we'll probably take it on over there now. Kyle, you gonna tap out for this one, or?
Yeah, I got to go, guys.
He's got to get going.
Damn, down to the Three Musketeers.
Right. We'll carry it on. But thanks, Kyle, for coming on tonight, man. I really appreciate it. I love hearing from you.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on.
And you
man.
should come to
thanks
the
for sharing your little toy.
I really can't, but yeah.
Sure. Like,
just watch the live stream.
Yeah, right. There is no live stream. But anyway.
Oh.
Well. So speaking of the Patreon, guys, that I was just speaking of, sign up for that. Also, give us a like or a follow on any of our social media. Please just write us a good review. Do all the fun stuff. Share with a friend. And also sign up for the Patreon. We're going to record an after hours podcast right after this, and we'll send you a link so you get to, make your comments, and we'll interact with you, maybe not. You guys get access to not only that podcast, but all the other after hours podcasts we've done, where we give lots of details, juicy details out. And so do that. And there's other ways to donate to the show by going to prlfans.com. And we also have t-shirts for sale over at libertariancountry.com. If you use the code PRL or PRL Podcast, you get a 10% discount. You get a 20% discount if you use the code PRL2 at checkout and you spend $50 or more. So until next time, live free
or die.